تبارك الله رب العالمين.
الحمد لله الذي جعل ذكره طمأنينة للقلوب وجلاء لها عن رين الذنوب ومطردة لوسواس الخناس المكذوب، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد الداعي إلى كل فعل محبوب وأمر مطلوب، وعلى آله وأصحابه المقتفين سبيله على خير أسلوب. أما بعد، فيقول رب تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المنزل: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هو الذي أنزل عليك الكتاب منه آيات محكمات هن أم الكتاب وأخر متشابهات، فأما الذين في قلوبهم زيغ فيتبعون ما تشابه منه ابتغاء الفتنة وابتغاء تأويله وما يعلم تأويله إلا الله، والراسخون في العلم يقولون آمنا به كل من عند ربنا وما يذكر إلا أولو الألباب. وقال تعالى: ويسألونك عن الروح قل الروح من أمر ربي وما أوتيتم من العلم إلا قليلا. صدق الله العظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed His guidance in the form of the book, the Quran. And He tells us that this book carries two types of knowledge. This book that Allah has sent carries two types of information, knowledge for you, for guidance. And the first is, He's saying that هو الذي أنزل عليك الكتاب, it is Allah who sent this kitab. فيه آيات محكمات, they are clear signs, they are clear verses in this book, and then there are verses that are not so clear. And for those who have zayg in their hearts, those people who have rust in their hearts, they go after these unclear verses, and then causes, they, in order ابتغاء الفتنة وابتغاء التأويل, they seek fitna, they seek corruption in the earth, they seek confusion over and above guidance. And وما يعلم تأويله, and there are not very many people who knows the real meaning of these verses except الراسخون في العلم, those who are firmly grounded in knowledge. And they say, كل من عند ربنا, that all is from Allah, that everything, all of it is from Allah, and we believe in all of it. Now, Allah clarifies that there is these two types of verses in the Quran, and we're doing today our 20th afa, or 20th calamity of the tongue. We've been doing a series coming all the way through. The 20th is آفة العشرون, هو السؤال العام عن صفات الله تعالى وعن كلامه وعن حروفه وأنها قديم أو محدث. What this means is that this calamity of the tongue revolves around asking questions where we shouldn't ask questions. Now, السؤال مفتاح العلم, we know that questions is the key to knowledge. And asking questions for the purpose of action, in order to seek guidance, is praiseworthy. But there's another type of questioning where there isn't any clear result of practice through the answer. You do not need it to practice the deen, but it is just a philosophizing or intellectualizing. It's an intellectual pursuit that remains in the hypotheticals. We go into things, into the depths of things that causes our deen to be corrupted, that causes our iman to be corrupted, causes our understanding, because Allah is saying that وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ, we are asking you about the soul, know that the soul is from the command of Allah. وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلٌ. But you are not given knowledge except a small amount. A small amount. And what this means is that the human mind, the human intellect is limited. We are all limited in what we can understand. So if we remain within our own boundaries and follow what Allah says, then fine. But it is when we step out, we try to extend our mind beyond the capacity of our understanding. We cannot understand and comprehend Allah fully because Allah created us. And Allah created us and He has placed us in this bubble, we are trapped in this bubble of space and time. He created both the space in which we live and the time in which we live. Both of these are the creation of Allah. And in order to comprehend Allah and all the realities of the divine, then we would need to step out of this, and we cannot because our mind is limited. Now, I'll give you a few examples in the mundane world, in the actual visible world that we have. If we were to spend all our time thinking about the edges of our knowledge about reality. Take, for instance, this floor. This floor is made of atoms. Our bodies is made of atoms, as we study in school. I know we have a lot of young people today, so I'm going to give these examples. Is that an atom has a nuclei, and it has the orbits of the electrons and the neutrons circling it, right? And the space between the two is massive. If the nuclei was the size of a peanut, then the edge of the atom will be like a football field. That is how much space there is. Now, if we are made up of atoms, and the floor we are made up of atoms, and the atoms don't touch each other, this is another thing. Atoms do not actually touch. There's forces that are pushing them apart. And this floor is made of atoms. And there is so much space within the atom, so much so that 99% of the human body is space, is empty space. Now, if we were to think about that all the time, and think about the fact that this floor is all space between the nuclei of the atom and the outer ridges of the atom, 99% of this reality that we are walking on is actual clear space. There's no solid, nothing solid. And this is why Einstein said that when quantum theory was developed, I felt like the ground has been pulled under my feet. Now, if instead of treating this as we have it, that Allah has made it a flat earth and a flat ground, we keep our minds only in that quantum realm and start thinking only about that, would we want to put our foot on the ground? We will worry that we might fall through, because that is something beyond what we could understand. And that is the tragedy. That is an example of this world that Allah has given us. That is an example I'm giving you, even in understanding the full extent of the natural reality in which we live. Our minds are limited. So how are we going to understand realities beyond this world? We cannot. So we must not spend our time asking too much about this. وإنما شأن العوام الاشتغال بالعبادات والإيمان بما ورد في القرآن والتسليم لما جاء به الرسل من غير بحث. That for the general public, what they need to do is to accept what is in the Quran, accept what is, and اشتغال بالعبادات, about actions. So once a person asked Imam Malik, he said, a mas'ala, and he said, do you do everything? And he didn't answer. And he said, لِمَا لَمْ تُجِبْنِي? Why didn't you not answer me? And he said, well, there is no fayda there is no benefit in the answer to that question. But we want to philosophize, so we learn trick questions. And this is what happened at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, where shaitan started teaching some people, some munafiqeen, and they started asking questions على طريق الاستهزاء والامتحان والتعنت. Three things. طريق الاستهزاء means to make fun of someone. You ask some trick question. And this is what, in order to show off how intelligent I am, I ask a trick question. I see an alim and I want to ask him a trick question. Not to follow, not to find a way to get to Allah, a way to increase my iman, but a way to cause the alim to feel awkward. So istihza, that they were asking Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, try to do this, istihza. And then imtihan, testing people's knowledge. And ta'annut is inad, which is stubbornness, that you believe in one thing and you will keep asking questions around it. You ask the alim about, is this halal or haram, and he says yes, it is haram. But then you come back and say, but isn't there an ikhtilaf? And then you go to another question, you give him another dalil and another dalil, and he asks you for more and more and more. And eventually what you find is that the person is not asking to follow, they're asking to find a reason to escape following the deen. They're looking for ways out of following the deen, rather than looking for ways to follow the deen. And that is the problem. فالأمي حقهم الاشتغال بالعمل بما ورد في القرآن, because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that نهى عن القيل والقال وإضاءة المال وكثرة السؤال, that he has ordered you not to indulge in qil and qal, in that he said and we said and so, and also the wasting of wealth and kathratu suwal, and asking too many questions. Now the asking of too many questions, we're not saying that we're shutting down knowledge and discussion, but the asking questions in areas where the mind is unable to understand reality, like the sifat of Allah, the nature of Allah. We cannot ponder Allah, because we cannot comprehend Allah fully except for what Allah has told us of Himself. And therefore, it is important that we protect our tongue from falling into kathrat as-suwal, which is excessive questioning, excessive going into this too much. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله يرضى لكم ثلاثا ويكره لكم ثلاثا, that Allah loves for you three things and He dislikes for you three things. يرضى لكم أن تعبدوه ولا تشركوا به شيئا. He likes that you should worship Him and not ascribe partners. وأن تعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا, and that you hold on to the rope of Allah. The rope of Allah is His book, His guidance, His Quran. And then the three things that He hates for you, He dislikes for you: القيل والقال وكثرة السؤال وإضاعة المال. That which is this qil and qal. We go around because people are delusioned. They think that, and as the scholars say, ليس العلم بكثرة الروايات ولكن العلم نور يضعه الله في قلوب عباده. That people think that knowledge is kathrat al-riwayat, that this person said this and this person said that, and I have lots of references, the reference for this one and the riwayah from this person and the riwayah from that person, and they think that is knowledge. And when knowledge is in fact nur in the heart that Allah puts this nur in your heart that guides you towards His pleasure, towards guidance, towards success. That is real knowledge. If a person knows 100 opinions about the way to London from Oxford, it will not benefit him. If he knows 100, he has to know the one that is correct. He has to know one, not 100 opinions. So having 100 opinions and 100 references, and this person said that and this is al-qil wal-qal. And the other one, ida'atul mal, is the wasting of wealth, because this brings you into the brotherhood of shaitan. When you waste, indulging in waste brings you into the brotherhood of shaitan. And kathratu suwal, asking too many questions. And we've become people we ask questions in order to defend our inaction. We ask questions where we are not involved in, we are not doing what we are supposed to do, but we question, we put others to task. We question people in order to put them down. And this is what this calamity is about. It's about avoiding falling into this problem. It says, أن كان يسأل رجل أبي الدرداء رضي الله عنه قال له, he asked him a question and he says to him, كل ما تسأل عنه تعمل به. A man asked him a question and he said, do you practice on everything that you ask, all these questions? He said, do you practice everything? You said yes. He said, no, I don't practice everything I ask, all these questions. So he said to him, فما تصنع بإزدياد حجة الله عليك. So what are you doing then with the increasing of proofs of evidence against yourself? The more you know is the more evidence on you. So if you are asking and you're not practicing, then know that you are increasing evidence against yourself. So it is important to recognize that the control of the tongue is something that will dictate the quality of your deen. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said to Mu'adh, he said to him that when he asked, he said, ثَكَلَتْكَ أُمُّكَ هَلْ يَكُبُّ النَّاسُ فِي نَارِ جَهَنَّمَ إِلَّا حَصَائِدُ أَلْسِنَتِهِمْ. That it is the harvest of the tongue drag people into Jahannam. Because if you think about it, if you think about your actions in the day, in a 24 hours, how many transactions would we have carried out in our business? Maybe 50, 100 transactions, 5 daily salah. Actions that we actually do during the day it's in the hundreds. We might speak, we might sell something, buy something, travel, do a few journeys. But these are all in the hundreds. When it comes to the tongue, you know what the amount of activity there is? It ranges between 7,000 to 16,000 words every day. That is why the tongue is so important. Every word is weighable. It is weighable on the day of judgment. Every word. And this is why Rasulullah said that this tongue is the thing that will drag people into Jahannam. ثَكَلَتْكَ أُمُّكَ. And إِذَا أَصْبَحَ ابْنُ آدَمَ, that when the child of Adam, when a human being wakes up in the morning, that all the organs of the body, جَمِيعُ أَعْضَاءِ الْبَدَنِ تُكَفِّرُ اللِّسَانِ, they look at the tongue, they go to the tongue, they beg the tongue, they protest the tongue. All others, all parts of the body look at the tongue and says, اتق الله فينا, oh fear Allah in our regard, oh be careful with us. إذا وجدت أعوجزنا وإذا استقمت استقمنا. That if you remain straight, then we will remain straight. And if you remain bent, if you go off track, then we will all go off track. And this is what happens. This is why the tongue is so important. This is why we are doing this series. And today we've reached the end of the series. We started with Al-Kalam Fima La Ya'nik, the things that that are of no benefit for you. Fudul al-Kalam, useless talk. Al-Khawdu fil Batil, which is going into sin, talking about sin. Wal-Mira wal-Jidal, which is argumentation and quarrel. And then Al-Khusuma, which is quarreling. And Taqa'ur fil Kalam, which is unnecessary showing off of your speech, pride in your speech. And Fuhush and Sab, which was vile words, using obscene language. And then Al-La'an, which is condemnation and sending damnation to people. Al-Ghina wa Shi'r, which was number 9, which is singing and poetry. And then Mizah, which is jest and spending too much time in laughing and joking. And then As-Sukhriya wal-Istihza, which is mockery and laughing at people. Ifsha'u sir, the disclosure of secret. Al-Wa'du al-Kadhib, which is the false promises. And Al-Kadhib fil qawli wal-Yamin, false speech and false oaths. And Al-Ghiba, backbiting. And Namima, tail-bearing. Dhu lisanayn, the one of 2 tongues. Al-Madh, which is excessive praise and flattery. And then Al-Ghaflata an daqa'iq al-khata, not recognizing the implications of what we say. And then Kathratu Sawal, as we did today. Kathratu Sawal, which is the 20th one. Now all of these 20 calamities are listed by ulama, and I've based this on Imam Ghazali's list of 20. And these lectures are recorded, and I ask you all to go over them and listen to them, so that we'll be able to read them out and know what they are. Because as I said, the dominant activity of the human being, the dominant and most sophisticated activity of the human being is via his languaging capacity, his communication, what he does, what he hears, or his communication. And now, we have communication devices that occupy our time 14 hours a day. We are on our devices. That is also communication. That is also lisan. That is also calamity. When you send things on the internet and you pass mockery or you pass sukhriya about someone, then it goes and it then multiplies hundreds and thousands of times. On the day of judgment, we don't know how many times. If you start something and it goes viral, you start a mockery of someone and it goes viral on the day of judgment, we might end up having hundreds of thousands of sin in our book. Where on the day of judgment, the currency will not be money, it will be hasanat, good deeds. You will have to give over your good deeds, and when it's finished, you will have to take people's bad deeds. So the control of the tongue is vital. So I ask you all to go over these, listen to these 20. Some of them have multiple sessions, like Ghiba is long, but I ask you to go over them and internalize this discussion. It will improve your deen. It will improve your istiqamah on deen. It is to bring you closer to Allah, and make the effort to go out. There is a little chit of paper here with the address where you can find it on the internet. It's called Daramox Tube, or on YouTube, the channel, you'll be able to listen to that. You listen to it and your family listen to it. It will be beneficial for you for your family and for you, inshallah. May Allah reward you for coming and listening. Inshallah, we are going to take a break next week. I will not be here next week, but inshallah, hopefully in the following week I'll be there. وجزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
تبارك الله